London Cares and South London Cares, and for the sake of the rest of this presentation, I'm just going to call us the Cares family, because otherwise we'll be here till 6 o'clock. Can I just say thank you so far to Holly and Simona for inspiring and insightful presentations. It's worth me mentioning before I go too much further that we come from a social support angle as opposed to a social care angle. So that leads me on to who we are and what we do. North London Cares and South London Cares are community networks of older and younger neighbours hanging out and helping one another across Camden and Islington north of the river, and Southwark and Lambeth south of the river. And we do this because London is an amazing but rapidly changing city. I don't think you have to walk far from here to see some of those changes in action. Pubs now becoming Tesco Expresses, bespoke wine bars popping up, pop-up cinemas. I saw my way to here today, I was very excited about that. And yes, some of those changes can be super exciting, but some of those changes can be equally isolating, especially for some of our older neighbours who feel left behind by some of those changes. Their pub is now a bespoke wine bar, they don't necessarily have a library anymore, and it can enhance the feeling of isolation that already comes with old age. Indeed, 2/5 of older people say that television is their main source of company. And loneliness can be as harmful as smoking 15 cigarettes a day, which is something that I find startling. And we have in this city hundreds and thousands of older neighbours who have got plenty of roots but few connections, living side by side with lots of young professionals with plenty of connections but maybe no roots. If I talk for much longer, you'll find out that I'm not from London, I'm from Birmingham. And so these people live side by side with very little opportunity to interact, and that wastes human potential, it's corrosive for our communities. So that's why we exist, to bring these two groups together with the aims to reduce isolation and loneliness in older and younger people alike, to improve confidence, well-being, resilience and power of all neighbours, and to bridge generational, social, digital and attitudinal divides. And we do this in mainly 3 ways. One of the ways that we do this is through our social clubs. So these are group activities that bring older and younger neighbours together during the day, at the weekend, on and evenings. Yeah, it's worth me saying we have one rule, and that's no bingo. Otherwise we do everything else. So what have we done in the past? We do pub club, brunch club, men's cooking classes, arts and crafts. We did burlesque one afternoon, that was fun. We do all sorts of things. And the idea with every club is to help neighbours feel part of the rapidly changing city, feel part of the amazing city that London is. To help all neighbours feel valued, to feel vibrant and to feel visible. One of the ways that I particularly enjoy doing it is we take older neighbours to local businesses. So that can be anything from Franco Manca Pizza to a law firm to a marketing agency, and it just helps our older neighbours feel part of these massive tower blocks that are going up and all these companies, and helps them feel and understand and navigate the changes that this city is going through constantly. So these are group activities. Another one of our programmes is something called Love Your Neighbour. And this is a one-to-one friendship between an older neighbour and a young professional. And the volunteer will visit the older neighbour once a week for a cup of tea, for a chat, for company and conversation. And this programme is particularly aimed at older neighbours who maybe struggle to leave the house for health or mobility issues. We currently have 100 friendships across the Cares family. And to give you an example of the difference that these friendships can make, I'm just going to point out Matea and Stephanie at the end there. Stephanie's 103. I hope I look that good when I'm 103. And she's from Croatia, and she moved to London, I think about 40 years ago now. And she isn't very fluent in English. So when she was referred to us by a GP to see if she could be part of our Love Your Neighbour programme, we were like, okay, sure, but we're going to have to find someone who's Croatian. Stephanie Matea, who is from Croatia, and she never knew her grandparents. So now she visits Stephanie once a week, and they got hit off straight away. Matea got to learn and understand what Croatia was like 103 years ago, and Stephanie feels much more part of and connected to her city and community thanks to Matea's visits. This is all supported by our outreach work. We proactively connect with our community partners across Camden, Islington, Southwark and Lambeth to reach older neighbours. Young professionals often hear from us through word of mouth, connections, social media, Facebook, Twitter. Lots of our older neighbours don't have access to such resources. So we proactively hit the streets, we go to GPs, supermarkets, bookies, libraries, to have a conversation with older neighbours, to tell them about who we are and what we do, and invite them to be part of our community network. And we do this day in, day out, and find that it's a really fantastic way to engage with people within our communities. And just to kind of give you the idea of the difference that the Cares family has on our community, 73% of our older neighbours report that their isolation has reduced to being part of the Cares family. 86% are better able to appreciate the world. 77% report an improvement in their relations to young people. And 97% of young professionals feel that they are better able to appreciate older people. And I think I read this is one of our stats today that at least 80% of people volunteer with us because they want that connection to an older generation. And of course, what Simona's presentation reminded me of is that these stats don't do justice to the stories that are shared at a social club or the laughter that's had between lovely neighbour friendships, which is ridiculously hard to qualify when you're putting in a funding report and, you know, can only be captured in beautiful pictures like this one. So, I wanted to kind of just tell you very briefly, to kind of put all this in one person. This is a gentleman called Tony. So we met Tony through our Winter Wellbeing Outreach project, which the London Catalyst has kindly funded in the past. It's a 4-month project where we go door knocking in areas where we know there's a high density of older neighbours to ensure that they're staying warm when they're connected during the winter months. And we met Tony, he lives just off the Old Kent Road. And when we met him, he said, I've been alone for 30 years. Is it me? I find it so difficult to make friends locally. So we told him about South London Cares and what we do. And he said, sounds like something I'd be interested in. And since then, Tony's been coming to our brunch club. He's visited the cinema museum with us. This is a picture of him talking at a recent fundraising event about his experiences. And he's an amazing gentleman. And I think one of the things that he said to us when we first met him was, I don't know why people are going to be interested in me. I don't think I've got any stories to share. Why do I matter? And he is incredible with poetry, he's articulate with words, he's a fountain of knowledge, and every time someone, one of our younger neighbours or even older neighbours talks to him, he's just such a fascinating gentleman. And he said about the social clubs that he attends, they're a lifeline for me. It's so easy to make friends, and I know they're a place where I will be welcome. So Tony is just one of the, let me get my stats right, this is why I have the sheet here, one of the 3,000 older neighbours that we work with, and there's currently 3,750 young professionals as part of our network. So what does the future look like for us? Well, I think it's worth mentioning at this point that something that's been alluded to in previous presentations as well is that for us, community is really at the heart of who we are and what we do. Our volunteers and older neighbours are the most inspiring bunch of people, and they really drive the Cares family and put so much energy and heart and love into who we are and what we do. And for us, trying to mobilise that energy is one of our priorities for the future. Indeed, a recent Demos reported that where the sense of community is the lowest in different regions of the UK, the feeling of being alone is the highest. So we are striving to basically mobilise our young professionals to hold clubs for us, to meet older neighbours outside of social clubs, to take ownerships of the activities, and kind of give power back to communities. Obviously those sorts of things take time. It takes time to build trust and build confidence, but that's where we're seeing some fantastic kind of moments of joy. So for instance, this is a picture of Nick in the dark blue t-shirt. He led a bread making class with this men's cooking group in Kilburn. And he came away feeling like he'd passed on his skills, and they came away wanting to bake bread basically every day, so they better be hungry. And it's also worth me mentioning at this point as well, that after people who are aged 75 plus, people aged 75 plus are the loneliest group in the UK. After that, those between 21 and 25 and 25 and 35 are the second and third loneliest. Which just goes to show you how important this sort of connections and these sort of friendships are. Where we also see some progress and where we think that we can continue to mobilise communities is with local businesses. So, as I said, we do lots of visits to law firms, marketing firms, etc., to take our older neighbours into places of work throughout London. This is a picture of Frances, who's 93. She's currently skydiving. So, I mean, I've never done that. She's having a while of a time. And we're really seeing that mobilising businesses to reconnect with older neighbours. Businesses who are at the front of change and who are at the front of progress and are basically making the foundations for things that are going to happen in 20, 30 years, wanting to take older people who have been in this city for 60 years plus and basically had the history that business is able to build on, wanting to take them on that journey. And that's another place that we're seeing a lot of success in terms of the work and what we do. I'm really happy to answer questions after this on more of what we do, but I wanted to leave you with Peggy and Inez, who are two of our older neighbours who come to our King's Cross group every Thursday afternoon. They are wonderful women, as you'll soon discover, full of mischief and misadventure, and we have the pleasure of welcoming them every week to our clubs. So I just wanted to leave you with them.